Hello my Luminites, it is Ivy and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new here, hello, my name is Ivy, also known as Intuitive IVM, here on YouTube and also on intuitiveivy.com where I do tarot and oracle card readings. So yes, so if you are new here, hello. My channel is all about the mystical, magical, supernatural, and spiritual things. So if that's all something that you vibe with, consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on that notification bell. So today we are going to be doing something or talking about something that I've been wanting to, I just don't know why I have not talked about it yet, and that is tarot tips for beginners. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So beginner tarot tip number one is that you do not have to be gifted your first deck. I do not know why this is such a common misconception that people believe that in order to start tarot, somebody has to give you a deck. You can't buy your own. Don't wait for somebody to give you a deck. That doesn't mean anything. I don't know why there's this like common misconception that like you can't buy your own tarot deck. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Okay, don't let anyone tell you otherwise. You can. Tarot tip number two is going to pick a deck that calls to you. Some people say that you should start with the Rider-Waite deck, but like you don't have to. If you're not vibing with your deck, chances are you're either not going to want to continue your journey or you're gonna get inaccurate readings. You're not going to be motivated to learn. But when you have a deck that you're very interested in, that you love the imagery, you just really genuinely connect with your deck, you're gonna want to dive into it further. So don't start with a deck that you are not vibing with. For example, I did not vibe at all with that Rider-Waite deck. I do not. While it's a lot of people's things, me personally, I just don't like it. I just don't vibe with it. That being said though, try to pick a deck that is similar in like symbolism or pictures, for example, to the Rider-Waite, because it will be easier to learn when you're first starting off. For example, my biggest favorite deck that I love is called the Modern Witch deck, which is a very feminine take on the Rider-Waite deck. And it's very similar in illustrations. It's just more modern and it's like females of all shapes and sizes on it. So I really vibed with it. I really love that deck. And that's just the one that called out to me. That being said, it is still very similar in illustrations to the Rider-Waite deck. It doesn't stray away too much that I can sort of piece the two together. Tip number three. When you're learning the tarot, first start by learning the major arcana, then learn the minor arcana. The major arcana is going to be the easiest to learn because not only does it speak about like big major things in your life, the cards are very different. They don't fall into different suits and like 1, 2, 3s and all that. So it's much easier to learn the major arcana than it is to learn the minor arcana. Once you've mastered the major arcana, then move on to the minor. And when you do the minor, make sure that you learn the numbers and then the court cards last. Tarot tip number 5 is to make sure that you cleanse your deck right after you buy it, and also make sure to cleanse your deck in between readings, even when you are reading for yourself. So when you buy a new deck, it's gonna have a new energies basically. I have a video that I will post somewhere here talking about the different ways to cleanse your deck. In between readings, you don't have to cleanse it super, like you don't have to like sage it and do all this stuff to it. You can do something as simple as like shuffling it and then knocking on it 3 times and just like picture dust falling out. That is a simple, easy, fast way to cleanse your deck in between readings that's not gonna take up so much of your time. But when you first get a new deck, you want to either give it a moon bath or like sage it. You're going to want to do something a little more intricate and like heavy duty just to tune that deck to you. So tarot tip number 6 is, I don't know why I did this. 6 is whenever you get a new deck, make sure to do a tarot interview. A tarot interview is going to be a really great way to find out the different strengths that that deck is going to have, the different weaknesses that deck is going to have, and why it is here for you, what it is here to teach you, and just so you can get the overall energy on that deck versus your other decks. I also have a video on this that I will post somewhere up here where it will take you step by step. I will post a picture of the spread here somewhere. If you want to know like step by step exactly how to do it, I do have a video on that I will post here, and I will post it down on the link below. So tip number 7, I don't do this one, but I heard that it's good. Whenever you get a new deck, consider either sleeping with it, taking it with you wherever you go, or even just meditating with it, because again, it's going to help you bond with that deck a lot better. I'm constantly getting new decks, so I don't even know how many decks that I have not done that with, but I think I've done that with like 1 or 2, but they say that that's a good way to bond the deck with you. Tip number 8, so if you're pulling cards, pay attention to the numbers that you're getting. So if you're getting like lower numbers like 1 through 4 or even 1 through 5, that could mean that you're in the beginning stages of a sort of situation. So if you're getting higher numbers, that means that you're towards the end of a situation. Tarot tip number 9 is if you're shuffling and then a card just like flies out, make sure to grab that card, because that's usually a message that's sent for you at that moment. And you know, if you don't know the meanings, you can definitely look on biddytarot.com. That's like my favorite source to look at tarot meanings and then figure out what exactly it was trying to tell you at that moment. Me personally, I just pick my cards like that. If one flies out, that's usually the one that I'll pick in a reading, but there are many types of ways, and we'll go over that as well. So that leads us to tarot tip number 10, which is practice different methods of picking out cards. So you can shuffle them and then fan them out, and then close your eyes and basically hover your hand over it, and whatever you feel intuitively called to, that's the card that you choose. Or you can shuffle it and then pick the one at the top or the one at the bottom. You can split it. I've seen people split it into 3s and then grab one from the top or grab one from the bottom. Or you can do my personal way that I love to do, and it's worked for me every single time, is to shuffle them, and then when one flies out, that's usually the one that's meant for you to grab. So that's the way that I personally do it. Everybody's different though, so you know, try out all these different methods and pick and choose what works for you and what you feel the most connected to, because that's going to be your way. Your way is not the right way. Your way is not the wrong way. Everybody's way is different, and that's okay. Tip number 11 is that there's no right or wrong way to shuffle the cards. You can do the, what is it called, a river shuffle, you can do the gypsy shuffle, you can, however, the only thing that I have to say is that if you are doing the casino shuffle, it's going to ruin your cards quicker. That's the only thing that I personally don't casino shuffle, just because I know that that's gonna mess up my cards eventually, because I'm constantly bending them. So I don't casino shuffle. That doesn't mean that it's wrong to casino shuffle. It's not. They're your deck. It's your deck. But I personally don't do it just because I know that it's going to actually mess up my cards. Tip number 12 is that when you feel like you need to do a spread, for example, I don't know, you're feeling some type of way and you want to see like your vibration today, like how is your energy and how can you get a better energy. You don't have to follow a set spread. You don't have to Google a set spread. If you feel called to doing your own spread and making your own spread, go for it. Like, there's no set spread that you have to follow. While there's like Celtic Cross and all this stuff, you don't have to follow that spread. For example, when I do like my pick of cards for like the year or like the month and all that, I don't have an exact spread. I usually will just shuffle all the cards and then piece it all together. So you don't have to follow a set spread that you Google or anything like that. Just do whatever feels natural to you and whatever you feel called to do. Tip number 13 is don't conduct a reading if your energy just feels diminished or off. Just because you might get readings that aren't accurate, you might just be looking for, if you're doing it on yourself, you might be looking for certain answers, and even if you don't see them, you might make yourself see them. So if you're feeling thrown off or if your energy is feeling low, just don't do it, because not only that, doing readings does require using your energy and your vibrations. So if you're conducting a reading, it's going to lower your vibrations even more. And I've done this where I've already felt so worn out, but because I have clients, I have to consistently be doing the readings, that I just felt so, my energy just felt so off for the next few days that I didn't have the energy to do anything. So after I did a whole bunch of readings and I just felt diminished, I took a break from the readings, and not only from readings, I kind of just took a break from life. And I just relaxed for a few days because it's what I needed to do. So if you're feeling off, try to reduce readings as much as possible until you're feeling back up again. So tip number 14 is to make sure that you're staying grounded before a reading. A type of way to do this is by doing like a grounding meditation. Me personally, I just make sure to cleanse the area. So whether I use my little besom that I got in one of the boxes, or whether I use like my little sage spray, I always make sure that I cleanse the area and like feel very relaxed and calm and grounded. Even playing some Hertz music really helps as well, to make sure that you're grounded and prepared for the reading so that you can get more clearer answers and you're feeling very like, okay, you know? Tip number 15 is that a court card will always represent the person that you are reading unless its placement tells you otherwise. So they say that court cards, for example, page can symbolize like a child or anything like that. Yes, it can, but I feel like if you're doing a reading and the reading is talking about a certain person, it's going to be whoever that person is. For example, if you're doing a reading about how you feel about a type of person and how that person feels about you. If you get the Queen of Wands, for example, and it's in the side that's telling you how you feel, you're gonna represent the Queen of Wands. But if that Queen of Wands was in the other person's side, like the person that you're seeing or your friend, whoever, it's going to represent them. So pay attention to the placement, because that card is going to represent that person depending on the placement. So tip number 16 is to pay attention to the symbolism in cards, because there are a lot of repetitive symbols, and I don't just mean like wands for the wands cards and like swords for the swords cards. No, for example, you might see a castle in the distance in one of the cards, and then you get to a higher number in that same suit and the castle's closer. Note those symbols, because that usually means something. For example, a castle being far away could be a goal that's at a distance, you know, and then getting higher up, the castle's right next to you. That means that you're about to reach that goal. Note those symbols because they represent something, always. Tip number 17, something that I highly recommend for everyone, is to have a tarot journal. I have this one, and I also have one that I made myself before I bought this one. The one that I made for myself, it's the one that I was using when I first started out. This one I recently got just because, I mean, it's my favorite deck. It's my favorite deck, so I had to get the journal for it, and I love it. So I recommend you either make your own, or you can get this one because it's thebomb.com, and it has like the picture of the cards, and it'll give you like keywords and like reflections and all that, and it'll have pages for you to do your spreads. A tarot journal is really helpful for you to keep track of everything that you've learned while doing tarot, and also if you're doing a reading, you can easily just check your tarot journal if you don't remember the meaning of something. Tip number 18 is my personal tip. The way that I learned tarot more quicker is by making flashcards. So I would wake up super early at like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I would study my flashcards for like an hour. And that's how I learned tarot a lot quicker, because I would have my set flashcards, and then I do them right side up, and then I would do it reversed. Now I don't do reverse tarot anymore, and I don't read tarot reversed. I might get back into it eventually because I don't know, I liked doing the reverse meanings as well, but right now I'm just doing it right side up. But that's a good way for you to learn tarot. So that is all. Those are 18 tips for tarot beginners. If you have any more questions, please go ahead and write down in the comments down below, and I will be more than happy to assist you. I also want to eventually make a video where I do like tarot for beginners and kind of help like with the beginning process of how to start learning tarot and all that, but that video will come in the future. Anyways, you guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.